last time? What else did we look at? What else? Wait, what?
Why do we need
Economy. Economic growth. So how far did we go with interconnectedness?
just define community and the characteristics of community?
We define community. Zuwani, can you see?
Yeah.
Where are people going up?
That's why another video. Yeah, but
So what is a community?
it's a group of people who are together, who share a common interest or a common value, culture.
And what did you say are the types of economic systems?
Traditional economic system.
Sorry? Traditional, what else?
Market economics.
Mm-hmm. The other one?
Command. Which one is it?
Mixed, and then?
Command and man.
So what are they? How are they different?
I think all of them. I know. Okay. Like traditional organization. combined market system is like controlled by the government. E.g., fuel. Yeah, the government, the price is placed by the government and is controlled by the government. A basic market system is like, okay, we can put an example. Because
Somebody help her. She was a mixed, right? You are a mixed economic system.
It's a combination between traditional and command system. The government can provide my service which helps the community.
What about the other one? Free market. Market economic system.
It does not take, the government does not take control, or it does not take control to the community. The community owns, it owns.
So this is where there is no government intervention, basically. Okay, so what did you say is the difference between economic growth and development? Anything? Development on its own, government growth on its own.
People are increasing.
Okay, so we think development is a holistic process of change where you're changing people's lives through infrastructure, their well-being, so on and so forth. While growth is more pertaining to their levels of income or the country's GDP, GNP, so on and so forth. I already sent you the notes. Okay. Alright, so let's continue. The interconnectedness of community and development. So I would say the community is a social unit of a group of living things with commonality, such as norms, religion, values, customs, or identity. So in a community, you have to have development. But that development, how does it happen? Through community engagement. So there has to be an interaction between community development So we need an interaction between the community development, where the community wants to do, and community engagement. However, let us define, or let us differentiate community-based work and community development. How are they different? So community-based work, it's work that involves the community, while community development, it is work that is led by the community. So community-based work, as I was saying, it's work that is involves the community. Well, community development is led by the community. So community-based work is characterized by, firstly, the decision-making power rests with the agency or organization. So the ones that are the people making the decisions are the organization or agency that is working in that community. So the other characterization is that the problem or issue is defined by the organization or agency. That's still community-based work. So if there's an issue, that means it's coming from top going down. It is defined by the top agency or organization going down. So it's not a bottom-up approach, but a top-down approach. And the other characterization is that outcomes are pre-specified, or the goals are pre-specified, the achievements. So what can be an example of community-based work? An example of community-based work. So, give me a scenario. Anything. Okay, so an example would be in the agriculture sector. If there is a program by government, so that program has already been defined. There are already set outcomes, defined timelines that by the end of this much time we should have achieved this much. And they've already defined the problem they want to tackle. That means they're only involving the community, so that would be community-based work. So, however, let us look at how to characterize community development. So, as I was saying, community development is where the development project is led by the community. So, the characteristics of such would be decision-making power rests with the community and the organization. So, power relations are constantly negotiated. So it is not a project coming in entirely from an organization, but also the communities are engaged. They participate in decision making. Have we learned about the participatory methods? Okay. So the other characterization is that the problem or issue is first named by the community. So if the community has a problem with school blocks, then they'll have to name that problem and seek help from organizations. So if the problem or issue is defined by the community, then it is defined in a way that advances the shared interests of the community and agency or organization. And because of this, because the community is the one leading the development, that means even the timelines may be longer than when only the organization is leading development. So the other characterization is that work is longer in term duration. And the desired outcome is an increase in members' capacities. So because the work is being led by the community, that means they're increasing their skills, their capacities as a community, and even their social capital. So social capital and member capacities are increased. And the outcomes usually include a change at neighborhood or community level. So the outcomes are usually at neighborhood or community level. So as can be seen, one of the differences is that the community is much more engaged in economic development. So in strength-based approaches to community development, community engagement is very important because of the emphasis on being community-led. So because it's community-led, then it can be described as building communities from inside out. So you're building the community from inside out because people are coming together, making decisions together to achieve a goal or an outcome. So however, community development involves much more than simply engaging the community. Likewise, community engagement is not simply about community development. As well as its role in community development, community engagement plays an important role in planning and decision making and in service delivery. So there are several approaches in community development. Like the focuses on community development can vary. So, any questions so far? So there are several approaches to community engagement. The first one is saying women self-help group. So as the name suggests, this focuses on the contribution of women in development groups. So there may be some groups specific for women. This can be in terms of finances. As we're seeing now, there are a lot of village savings group for women, some for men, or some are mixed. The other one is saying community capacity building. So this focuses on helping communities obtain, strengthen, and maintain the ability to set and achieve their own development objectives. So such a group on capacity building can be, for example, finances or farm record keeping. So you're trying to reinforce the idea of keeping records on cost inputs on the farm and calculating prices and profits in the community so that farming is taken as a business. So the other one is non-violent direct action. Non-violent direct action. So this is when a group of people take action to review an existing problem, highlight an alternative, or demonstrate a possible solution to a social issue, which is not being addressed through traditional societal institutions like government, religious organizations, or established unions. So the other one can be a faith-based community development. So this utilizes faith-based organizations to bring about community outcomes. If you have any question, you can stop me at any point. The other one is town making. So this comes from a Japanese concept known as Machizukiri. So it's an umbrella term, generally understood as citizen participation in planning, management of living environment. It can include redevelopment, revitalization, and post-disaster reconstruction. So this emphasizes the importance of local citizen participation, especially in reconstructing the community. So the other one is community development, community-driven development, CDD. This is an economic development model which shifts over reliance on central governments to local communities. So this is where the community itself is gathering the resources, making their plans, goals, in order to achieve a certain objective. Community-driven development, CDD. So the other one is community-based participatory research. This is a partnership approach to research that involves, for example, community members, organizational representatives, and researchers in all aspects of the research process, and in which all partners contribute expertise and shared decision-making and ownership, which aims to integrate this knowledge with community development outcomes. So that is community-based participatory research, where it's more like a partnership between the community, the organization, and researchers in all aspects of the research process. So there are a lot of different approaches. These are some of them. So another one is large group capacitation. It's another one. So this is an adult education and social psychology approach, grounded on the activity of the individual and social psychology of the large group, focusing on large groups of unemployed or semi-employed participants. So this is specific for adult education, for those people, large groups of people who are employed or semi-employed, or those who have lower literacy levels. So let us look at some of the participatory techniques that you can use to engage the community, ways in which the community can be engaged. So these are participatory appraisal techniques. So participatory rural appraisal, PRA, and rapid rural appraisal, RRA, are some of the social research techniques used in the field when often resources and time are limited. So these techniques require facilitation and substantial time investment if they are to be fully effective. So the first one, rapid rural appraisal, RRA, is a method used by outsiders to acquire information about a community quickly. Rural rapid appraisal. Ever heard of it? Yes. Yes. All right. Thank you. Rural rapid appraisal. So it's used by outsiders to get information about a community quickly, so they engage or involve the community. While PRA, participatory rural appraisal, is aimed at strengthening the analyzing and decision-making power of the affected community. So, RRA can be used by implementing agency in assessment activities, while the PRA can be used in program designing, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation. So the organization that is implementing either method, RRA or PRA, can facilitate the process. But it is the community members that learn to analyze the situation, design and implement program activities. So this is more of a bottom-up approach. From this interaction process, it is hoped that the agency or the organization staff from outside the the community may change the attitude and behavior of the community. So some of the PRI methods are mapping, ranking, diagramming, so for the first one, mapping. So mapping as a PRI tool. So this is where a community mapping is a useful tool for collecting information for the community concerning the local activities, which may not be obvious from observation alone. This may also help to explain the affected community view, the situation, and where they see opportunities for constraints. But this method is most effectively used with a small group. So what you do is that you are working on developing a sketch map of the area in which they live. So the map may be produced crudely drawn and not to scale, but will provide valuable information. So if there is a map on water and sanitation, say there are not enough water resources, boreholes, for example, in the community, you can sketch a map to indicate where the important places are in that community, where the school is, where the main road is, churches, where the chiefs stay, and to indicate where the water source is. So you can see the actual distances from the water source to the main areas such as the school, the church, or where the community leaders are. So in such a map it will help you to determine where to actually plant, for example, a borehole in that community, according to the example. If the problem is not enough school facilities or not enough schools, so you develop a map to indicate where everything else is and to discuss where the optimal point for you to build a school will be. The other one is ranking. So this is where community members are asked to list their priorities in terms of overall sanitation-related needs and their perceived needs for different sanitation facilities. So the group facilitator should help to guide the group in considering what facilities or activities may be appropriate, but ideas should come primarily from the participants. So as the name suggests, ranking. So you rank the things that the community would like to have, your priority needs, and the activities associated with each need. So for example, the priority needs may be, you develop a table, in one column you have your priority needs. For example, preventing diarrhea. The other one will be preventing malaria. The other one can be family facilities. The other one can be traditional funerals. So the other column you have your ranking. So you ask, so these problems or these needs would be the ones suggested by the community members. So after you've listed the needs, you put a rank. So for example, preventing diarrhea right now, from a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate it? from a scale of 1 to 5. A priority such as preventing diarrhea, how would you rate it? A priority such as preventing diarrhea, or a need such as preventing diarrhea, how would you rate that at the moment? From a scale of 1 to 5. Would you say that it's 1 being not very important and 5 being very important? The middle would be 3. So what rank would you give it? What score would you give it? Preventing diarrhea, 3 for you. The others? Let's rank whether preventing diarrhea is very important or the most not very important on a scale of 1 to 5. You'd give it a 5? Okay. How about preventing malaria on a scale of 1 to 5?
3.
Mm-hmm. A 4 again? Okay. The others, what are we saying? A 5? So, for us to prevent diarrhea, what are some of the activities we can do? So, the other column, so the first column, your priorities or your needs. The second would be the ranking. The other one would be associated activities for each priority. So, for the first need, preventing diarrhea, what can be an activity associated? Sorry? Providing safe water resources, yes. Another activity. Food carrying. What else? Washing hands frequently. So that's for preventing diarrhea. How about for preventing malaria? What would be the activities? Bed nets. What else? You said covering or draining stagnant water. So even for those activities, you'd have a rank. For example, for the hand washing, that would be 1 to 5. What would you rank hand washing in terms of preventing diarrhea? What? Ranking. What score will you give hand washing in terms of scale of 1 to 5? On the same scale we had. A 3? What about for eating thoroughly cooked food? That can be 5. Sorry?
For me, for washing hands will be 4. For eating food, it should be 3.
Okay. A different opinion? How about for preventing malaria? We said having mosquito nets and draining stagnant water. What would you rank was goals and with those activities?
Cleaning stagnant water for sleeping under mosquito net.
3.
Sleeping under mosquito net. Cleaning stagnant water.
Okay. So yeah, that's an example of a simple ranking method. So this method can be used to establish what community members consider to be their primary needs. Can you hear me? Am I audible? So I'll say that that's one example for you to run what your community needs in terms of development. So we've given you different skills, but in the end you have to come up with, say, an average or a group assessment on what activities are actually more important than the others. So for now, we've agreed that preventing cholera is the priority, is one of the priorities. So you have to come up with the score for the ranks as well to decide which activity should be sponsored the most. So the other one was, the last one was diagramming, making diagrams. So charts, cards may be used to illustrate relationships concerning people, resources, or time. So examples include calendars of activities, charts of resources, resource use, or traditional leadership trees. For longer term settlements, charts may be very useful for recording seasonal trends relating to hygiene behavior and health. This may help in identifying and prioritizing needs and actions. So you can also make pictures shading to indicate relevant months. So this chart or diagram would be, you'd list either your priorities or your needs or the problems that you have in the community. And so one column has the needs, the other columns has the months. So for example, you'd say diarrhea, which months have the highest cases for diarrhea, so you'd shade most likely the rainy season. The malaria problem, which months have the highest cases for malaria, most likely also the rainy times. Low availability of water, when does the community experience low availability of water? So you'd shade those times. And then you'd make activities associated with those needs on how you have to handle the problems that you have. So there are more participatory activities. These are just a few. Have you heard of the problem tree? Objective tree analysis. So that is another one where you draw Okay, so this would be a problem tree analysis. So this is where you indicate your problem, what is the main problem in that community. And then you indicate the causes. So the causes would have arrows pointing to the problem. So, and then after that you'd have the effects. So what can be an example of a problem? The same way, cholera. What could be the causes? At least 3. Yeah, why are we having cases for cholera? What would be the cause? What else? Eating without washing your hands, and so on and so forth. What would be the effects? The biggest one, death. So, with that problem tree, you'd convert it to an objectives tree. So the objectives tree, you'd simply convert this problem to your main objective. This would be the main objective. The causes, would be the means, the activities you do to deal with that problem. And then the effects would be the ends or the outcomes that you want to achieve when you deal with the problem. So, for example, the problem was, say, increase in cholera cases. So the objective would be decrease in cholera cases. The end result would be reduced deaths. And the means would be frequent washing of hands, eating well-prepared foods, washing hands after visiting the toilet, and so on and so forth. So that is just one simple example of how you can engage the community in decision making. But let us look at why would people want to be engaged in development, or what would be the motivation for engagement in community development? What do you think are the reasons people would be engaged in community development? So you share your different views in order to tackle a problem, solve a problem. What else? So generally there are 4 ultimate goals or motivations as to why people be engaged in or involved in community development. So this comes from 4 principles or 4 philosophies, which are egoism, altruism, collectivism, and principalism. So the first one, ego. egoism. So as the name suggests, it's coming from somebody's ego or greed. But this term comes from psychology, and it was developed by Thomas Hobbes and Jeremy Bentham in 1781. So this egoism term, this makes claims about what one ought to do, rather than describe if and because. Sorry? Let me read that again. So this comes from how we have self-interest when we're doing things. So if we want to be involved in community work because we have our own self-interest in whatever we're doing. So this says that people engage themselves in community or development work because they have their own self-interest in it. They want to build their own skills or capacities as individuals. So the other one is altruism. So this is related to selflessness, that people may be motivated to work with others because they want to be selfless. So the other one was about self-interest, the other one is about selflessness. So the other one was collectivism. So this refers to a worldview in which social behavior is guided largely by goals that are shared by a collective, such as a family, a tribe, or a work group, or a political or religious organization. So a community or people may engage themselves because they want to work towards a shared goal or a shared problem. And the other one, principalism, this one emerges from the medical side or sector, where it emphasizes 4 key ethical principles of autonomy or power, non-maleficence, and justice. And these are shared mostly by people in health professionals. So these are some of the motivations on which people may want to be engaged in community work. But it doesn't entirely mean that somebody will be involved because their self-interest are the highest priority, or their selfless. One of them can be a combination of these things. Any questions so far? So as we can see that community engagement involves different angles, but there are some criticisms as to why there is an increase in community involvement. So nowadays, a lot of development projects, they hinge on or they encourage community participation or community development. So there are a lot of efforts to increase involvement of communities in development works. So those efforts can be top-down, that is government initiatives, or bottom-up processes, grassroots organizing or initiatives. So however, there are few criticisms on the emphasis of community involvement or engagement. So what are the criticisms? So one of them is that this emphasis on promotion of community involvement, and particularly on government initiatives, a disguised attempt for governments to pull back from delivering social services to the people. So one criticism can be that there is a lot of community involvement, promotion or work, because maybe the government wants to pull back from offering services to its people. But however, this criticism often fails to recognize that in many cases, community involvement provides more tangible benefits to the community rather than the government itself. So this criticism is not a very crucial criticism. And it may be that without some push towards increasing unpaid community participation, available social services and support could diminish even further. So as we all know that in projects or development works in communities, and projects may run up for a number of years. But after that number of years, what happens? The community may decide not to go on with whatever development works. So increased participation in community work can help to remove this problem of unsustained development work. But before we continue, what is sustainable development? What is sustainable development or sustainable economic growth? Mazumubega. Or is it okay? Yeah, that's very true. So we already defined it. I mean, you have defined it very well. And another definition is that it is a process which seeks to achieve in a balanced manner economic development, social development, and environmental protection outcomes. So we have to ensure that whatever development work is happening is sustainable, in the sense that the future generations' capabilities are not compromised, but also the development works have to be continued even after termination of the project. So other critiques of community engagement or involvement focus on the methods used to get people involved. This points out that requirements to engage within community contexts may reduce motivation to perform actions in the future after the required service is over. So how you engage the community matters. What kind of incentives are you providing for them? So if your problem is just if your project or the community development happening is coming from top down, then there have to be enough incentives for people to engage in that development work. Otherwise, the development work may have low turnout or low participation from your community, which can also affect how future development works are done. That's why it's important to have participatory techniques. It is important to have those participatory techniques we talked about in community development. Because if you engage people in the decision making, then they're easily going to feel that this development work is theirs. So they're going to take care of it in the long run. They're going to carry it forward. Any questions so far? All right, so let us look at the concept of community involvement. The concept of community involvement at collective and individual level. So at the most basic level, community involvement or engagement has a primary goal, which is the betterment of community. So the betterment can be achieved through direct action. For example, you're painting a school block or you're building a school block. Or indirect action through the building of social capital. So social capital are the connections among individuals. Connections among individuals or the social networks. So social capital itself may help to combat social problems and reduce tensions between various groups in a community. So social capital can be because you are together in a group, for example in a village group, and you know that this person does this type of work, another person does another type of work. In the end, you'll be well connected. Because as humans, we are social beings, so we have to be well connected to others, even in a work setup or at school. We all have friends or people we know, and those people in the end can be of help to us. And even in community work, social capital can be very beneficial to solving problems. So involvement in the community, as you can see, has both individual and a collective aspect. As an individual, you're being well connected. And as a collective aspect, as a community, you're solving a problem together. So that means both individuals and communities can benefit from community engagement or community work. So, however, most literature on individual aspect or volunteerism, for example, has offered several typologies of motivations suggesting that different individuals may engage in the same behavior for different reasons or purposes. But however, it would be a mistake to think that individuals are always trying to satisfy their egoistic goals or their self-interest. But rather, individuals often choose to get involved in the communities because of the benefits that will be provided to the other people or to the community itself. So, as a collective aspect of community involvement, this involvement in the community work may also cement bonds between the different institutions in the community or the different sectors in that community. Because you have different people coming in together from different institutions, from the religious side, working with the schools, institutions. In the end, it might help to cement the bonds between these different institutions. So, the mutual understanding that develops from this contact is that a chief benefit or a primary benefit of involvement initiatives of such relationships can be forged at the intergroup or interinstitutional levels. Of course, there are always possible downsides when different institutions are coming together to work together, because all of them have their own self-interest at hand. But it is always important to have the community goals or the community values as the chief goals in coming together to work together as a community. So it is often important to take stock of the relative power of each group in the community to make sure that no one in the community or in the process is being exploited or ignored. So for example, you may have a need in the community to build schools. So you have to make sure that the first thing you're choosing a location that is very good for everybody else. You're not favoring one side, who did a school in Kale closer to some church or school in Kale closer to some village, no? So we have to make sure that no person is ignored or exploited. So let us look at the steps for community involvement. So the first one is you have to understand the community. But before I go on, any questions? Because you're very quiet. This is not a church. What? Sorry. Okay, so I was saying that.
And look like a community, what are they from
motivations for community involvement. So as I was saying, so it's relating to this. So keep this at the back of your mind. So as I was saying that in community involvement, you have a collective and an individual aspect to it. So you have people coming in as individuals with their own self-interest to work in a development goal. So one side is people as individuals are coming to work on a development goal. But however, the collective aspect is that you have a community that is coming in to work together also to work on a certain goal. So the concept is that for both the individual and the community, they have their own benefits that they can take from working together. As an individual, you can increase your skills and also increase how connected you are to the community, so social capital. So as a collective, in that community, you can solve your problems, but also one of the benefits as a collective is that you are able to cement the bonds between the different people coming in. Because those people are coming in from different backgrounds, tribes, or institutions. So generally, that's it. Anyway, specific maybe you did not understand. Sorry?
I think for the explanation.
Any other question? Am I too fast? Okay. So the first step, understand the community. There are about 7 of them.
You're saying steps of community.
Yes. Stroke involvement. So understand the community. So this is where you ensure that you collect a general picture of how the community operates. Who to talk to, who you're going to work with before you start your project. So there are some factors that can influence how to work with the community. So these can be cultural and language, environmental and economic issues, land tenure issues, governance arrangements, which is what organizations control different aspects of the infrastructure in the community. And so on and so forth. So when you're doing this, you have to consider exploring the history of service delivery in that community. So you have to understand where the problem is coming from. And gain an understanding of planned future activities or infrastructure-related projects. And the other thing you have to consider is gaining technical information from community members. So do not assume that they lack the relevant knowledge. So you have to, should not assume that people don't know anything, but you have to assume that maybe they know a bit of something and you have to learn from them. Because in this step you're trying to understand the community. So you have to talk to residents, the local government, the indigenous community council, or regional land council, or government, or any other government centers. That may be a good start in getting a picture of that community. So what are some of the questions you can ask for you to understand your community? So in factoring community involvement into your planning, consider the following questions. What skills, assets, and capacities to be involved does the community have? So what skills or assets, capacities does the community have? Or what support networks are available to help facilitate community involvement? What support is already there? The other one can be what funds are available in your project to allow time and resources for community involvement. So that's on the first step, understand the community. The other one is determine what you and the community need. The second step. So you have to remember that the objective of community involvement or engagement is likely to be one that assists in helping you get the job done in an effective and timely manner. So the aim of the project should be So the aim of the project should be reliable and sustainable infrastructure that works well for the residents and the community, while improving quality of life. So, in simple terms, in this step, determine what you and the community need is more about setting the objectives. Setting the objectives of your development work. So, in order to identify the objectives, you may ask the following questions. Do the stakeholders need simply to be aware of what you're doing? Or are you looking for a greater level of involvement? So are you looking for involving other stakeholders into your development work? The other question can be, how much does the community need to be able to know and do to sustain the development work? And the other question can be, what resources do community members have to draw on for management and maintenance? And what change needs to occur in terms of who takes responsibility for what, or in demand side management to ensure reliability and sustainability? So the other step is identify the type of involvement required. So the spectrum of community engagement or involvement ranges from information sharing to full-on active participation. So is it that you just want to inform the people or you want them to actively participate? So in terms of sharing information with the community, sharing information keeps the community and its stakeholders informed about existing and potential infrastructure problems and ongoing projects and activities. As a result, community ownership of participation and satisfaction with the development increases. So how can you share information with the community? So you can hold a meeting, or you can use posters, leaflets, and so on and so forth. Or you can use the community radio to share information. And after you have shared information, you consult with the community. So consultation is used in identifying problems and designing solutions. It involves information gathering with input and feedback from community to assist in decision making. So, for example, one of the consultations can be community, that you want to have better toilets for your community. So you can hold a community meeting with the community members. So for the outcome of the meeting, you can suggest the required activities. And one of the benefits for this is that the community is more aware on how to manage the situation that you have. And you can assign responsibilities as to who will take responsibility on solving the problem or managing the problem. Can assign responsibility to the youth or to the women or to the men, so on and so forth. Or you can choose specific people, a mix of groups. So the other thing you have to take note of in this step is informed decision making by the community. So using informed decision making, key community members or stakeholders are provided with information. So you're providing your information and you make decisions about the development work. So you can use the participatory researchers also in this section for you to make an informed decision. So you inform the people and you deciding on what to do using your participatory techniques. So the other part is negotiating. In negotiating, the community and its stakeholders identify the needs and potential existing programs. Then they work together on a level playing field to decide how to address an issue. So the other one is ongoing participation. Still on the same step. So ongoing participation means that the community key stakeholders are trained to manage aspects of the ongoing maintenance of the development. So the community is involved in maintenance and managing management according to its capacity. And if there is a gap in the capacity, you perform a training on skills development education.
Ongoing participation is not steady.
No, still under. So after that step on identifying the type of involvement required, the next one is assessing whether you need help, whether you need a third-party intervention. So if you are unsure about the process that you're doing and its success, it may be worth considering contracting a third party with experience in community involvement techniques and perhaps an established working relationship with the community. So when deciding whether you, your company, or your organization have the right skills to manage community involvement, you ensure you consider that you have understood the cultural protocols and customs, whether your skills, your relation with the community are enough, how well you understand the community you're working with, and what aspects you need to help them with. And then after you do that, you identify the stakeholders. So you've considered that maybe you need extra hands on deck, you need extra help. So you identify the necessary stakeholders. And the last thing is you seek agreement. So the aim of establishing an agreement is to avoid conflict arising from misunderstanding or confusion about the objectives. An agreement can help establish the roles and responsibilities and expectations of each stakeholder involved. So you can consider making a formal agreement when using more complex forms of community involvement and the importance of being clear. And you have to make sure that you're clear in your agreement on who is doing what role. So I think you can stop there for today. Any questions so far? How is the summit coming along?